dismissed as a fad after his untimely death at age 40 in 1916. During the Red Scares of the 1920s and 1950s, his attacks on capitalism called his American loyalties so much into question that, though he was long dead, the FBI opened a dossier on him. Too popular to suppress, he was retained as a literary icon of juvenile adventure, and his keen sense of social justice was quietly forgotten, except by college professors and dedicated socialists. Jack London was a socialist not because he was lazy or sought to live on the labor of others. Few American writers have ever worked harder to educate and improve themselves, or have produced a more prolific stream of work. He was a socialist because of the manifest evil that he saw result from the abuses of unrestrained capitalism, the operative word being unrestrained. London himself was a lifelong capitalist, an entrepreneur. He built up a successful ranch with innovative demonstration projects. He licensed his famous name to commercial products. He took risks and did not whine when gambles failed. But the United States of the late 19th and early 20th centuries was the heyday of the ugliest excesses of unfettered, laissez-faire capitalism, the Gilded Age, Mark Twain's term, of corporate oligarchy, of worker abuse and oppression. The result was breathtaking social injustice as vividly displayed as it is in today's very comparable era. London witnessed the lower-class laborers slaving all their lives with no chance of getting an even break, and it represented to him a betrayal of the American dream that he unforgivingly set his face against. When London resigned from the American Socialist Party not long before his death, it was not because he had lost his zeal. He resigned because its members had lost theirs. His political views, however, were not the only source of controversy about this immensely complex figure. He vigorously defended the rights of native peoples against exploitation by white, industrialized Western society, but he was also a racialist who believed that those people were better off not mixing with whites. The difference between this and a racist was a distinction too subtle for many people in his own time as well as today, and he has proven vulnerable to a charge of racism. He was a robustly physical and highly sexualized man who struggled to find expression in a society still bound by the pruderies of the Victorian age. A spiritual man with a lifelong interest in the passion and teachings of Jesus, he was mortified at the role religion played in maintaining an unjust society, and claimed to embrace atheism to the end. Throughout his life, he was tortured by the self-imposed imperative to do right by those whom fate had placed close to him, and despite the generous advances he received for his books, he often lived in poverty as he supported them. Yet he would have to be counted as a poor husband and a disastrous father. While in some ways he was never a child, in other ways he never grew up. When London met and ultimately married the woman who should have been ideally suited for him, maturity and even fidelity still eluded him. There have been many Jack London biographies, primarily of three types. The first and most numerous has been the biography for juvenile readers, meant to satisfy their curiosity about this fascinating man who fired their imaginations with The Call of the Wild, White Fang, and The Sea-Wolf. The second approach has been the general biography, fast and punchy, recounting his extraordinary life while avoiding interpretation that might get in the way of reading it as an adventure story. They are necessarily short and, excepting certain occasional flashes of insight, superficial. In addition to these books of Jack London light, there have been many volumes of limited scope. Jack London and Alaska, Jack London and the South Seas, Jack London and Socialism, Jack London and Women. The third type of Jack London biographies have approached his life as literary criticism, principally emanating from a tight circle of scholars intent on vindicating London as a great writer. At this they have succeeded, even while admitting that there were two marked tiers of quality in London's prolific output. First, there were the works of stunning originality and descriptive power, written in